games, comics, anime. Codenamed Epic.
Character in Evangelion, so, and got it on this time. And then, are you cold?
I got it on this time?
Use the phone, the microphone.
Yeah.
It's on. And so I have Vic Mignogna from Little Alchemist, who plays my brother in the film. Yeah, this is live action, so you see him as himself. And then Richard Epcar from Ghost in the Shell, Bato, plays the crazy spirit lodge guru. And so basically what the movie is about is these 4 young people go out in the desert to a sweat lodge. How many of you guys have heard of a sweat lodge? Okay, so some of you. Sweat lodge is where you go, yeah, I hope so. Go out to the desert to kind of purify yourself spiritually by getting in a little tent and sweating in your underwear. And not eating or drinking for a long time. It's this new age kind of cross with American Indian type thing. And so they do that. So we kind of did this our own sweat lodge where instead of getting spiritually attuned, you end up in another dimension. And so that's what happens to our main characters. They end up in another dimension where there's evil spirits who want to steal their bodies and come back to the real world. So that's kind of what's going on here. So when you see stuff like that, the evil spirits, all that's the bad guys trying to steal their bodies. So we're gonna, and we got a whole bunch of clips, and we were sponsored by Anime Expo for this film. So Anime Expo's on board with us, and they we may actually show it at this Anime Expo if it's complete by July. We may have the actual showing. Isn't that cool? Did you know that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. So we might show it there. Awesome. And Cristina B was in it, and Cristina, what was your live action film experience besides the Broken Spirits thing?
Besides Broken Spirits, I played Mrs. Pac-Man in a live action thing, and except instead of eating little dots, we were eating human flesh.
What?
And then I played, let's see, what did I do? Oh, I'm playing Darth Vader in Little Karibo's interpretation of Star Wars.
Look at the strangest roles.
Yeah, my line is basically, I'm Cristina B. I voice everything. That's what Little Karibo thinks of me, apparently. Let's see.
I voice every cute little girl.
Before that though,
Hi people, welcome.
I've done like a bunch of, oh you guys are so cute. I've done a bunch of like college films and all these things. See, my thing is I was never really into film stuff. I've always been television voice actor, so it was great doing it. It's completely different. I was a complete noob. So, yeah.
But I mean, come on, you need to be in film. You know how you hear the comment, you have a face for radio? Cristina B has a face for film, come on. Like, this woman is gorgeous.
Thank you.
I had to put her in my film. And I have to say that I got to kiss her. But the director wrote that in there. I did not write that.
Not just once. Wasn't it like 30 takes?
I know, for some reason the director kept making us do that over and over again.
I have a boyfriend, and he decided to come the one day where we were filming all the kissing scenes. Not only that, he was holding the reflector.
It was the only day.
It was the only day. Yeah.
So what we have is we're going to have some clips and some trailers, some behind-the-scenes stuff, sort of, some raw footage. And basically what we're doing is, right now it's in editing, but we're also compositing special effects. And so we've got some crazy effects because we go through other dimensions, and the number one, yes. And the evil spirits have special powers and stuff like that, so we're going to represent all that. So you see that. But it was really an awesome experience. And probably what we'll do is, once I show you some clips, is we'll talk about it a little bit, and probably just take some questions. And if you don't have any questions, then I'll scream and throw things at you. Okay. How are we doing on it? We're almost ready.
Do we have any questions from the audience?
Go ahead and take one now.
Yes.
How much was the budget for this movie?
That's a good one.
The budget was a car.
Oh yeah, right. I sold my car. I promise I'll sit down in a minute, but once we get this stood up. Oh, good. So yeah, the budget was as much money as we could get. We did Kickstarter, like Cristina did. We did.
You did?
Yeah, I posted on your wall and I said you got 3 times as much in 10 days as we did in 60 days for Broken Spirits.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we raised about 2,000 on Kickstarter, and then I sold my car to finance it. I had a 2006 Mustang GT convertible, white with blue stripes. Sold it.
It was a good car.
Oh yeah, it was an awesome car. And now I have a piece of crap car that I bought instead.
But you have a movie.
Right, which is not finished yet. But still, it'll be finished. It takes years to do this stuff, folks. I mean, I started writing this January of last year, so now it's over a year, and we're still, making the movie. But hey, it looks like we got some clips. So we did Anime LA a few months ago, and I put this little clip collection together. And we haven't really got anything new from my editor yet, so I just want to go ahead and show you this. Even though it'll say ALA on it, just pretend it says Anime Conji.
Oh, I remember now.
Oh wait, what?
Like 2 days ago, I was in like a web series, and I was a fairy, and her name is Tinkle.
Wow, I have nothing to say about that. All right. We'll see. All right, go ahead and play that. Yeah. Okay. So like I said, ignore that in LA. Let's see if we've got audio. I don't hear any audio.
We should still reverse ourselves.
There should be audio right now.
Oh God.
There we go.
Down by the river.
Yeah.
Deep and cold. Can't remember what I got in my soul.
Jason Charles Miller doing some of the soundtrack for this song.
Some kind of love. Believe. So I'm down on my knees, just praying for better days. Well, I know it wasn't love, and I know it wasn't money.
Kyle has a cameo.
Stop! Holy crap!
So there's a little bit of a taste of some stuff that I just threw there together. So I'm just gonna, I guess, put together all the rest of the clips for you right now. So I'm gonna do that. Just like 2, 3, all the numbers. Okay. So yeah, we shot this in the desert. It was very low budget. I got the location basically for free. I've been working for a producer for about 3 or 4 years now, and he manages a location. So I've done a lot of work for him. I've written him a screenplay and done a lot of other stuff for him. So he's like, oh, well, you can use my location. So that was really nice of him. But the downside, I suppose, is the location is pretty much desert. It was Palmdale, which is about an hour, 15, 20 minutes north of Los Angeles, where we were. And so we were shooting in the desert. It was very hot, it was very cold, it was very sandy, lots of different things. And so here's another clip. I think this is a trailer. I used to know these ones. Sure. This is either the original trailer or the new awesome trailer.
Hello.
Oh, this is the fun
I'm Richard
version.
Epcot, and I'd like to tell you about a motion picture I'm in called Broken Spirits.
Can you turn it up just a little?
It's a breezy little romp through the park. A bit of an action story. It's a love story.
Everybody does that.
It's got cars and trucks. Steps are traveling fast. Travel to other dimensions. It's about friends. Hello. Just one quiet what? You done it! You done it! Make it better! Make it better, Spots! Oh, it has intrigue too. It's a bit of a musical.
most of all, it's about Valerie. Dear, sweet Valerie.
Comes the fork.
So please, follow along with our production on our website. It's brokenspiritsmovie.com. You'll find it on the internet.
So yeah, when it was near the last day of shooting, and our director and Richard just got together out in the field, and Richard's like, I got some ideas to do for a little trailer or whatever, so that's gonna repeat. They put it next to you. And so they I didn't even know what they did. And Peter's like, oh, I'm gonna put this together for you. I'm like, okay, cool. And so there you go. The effects that you did see in there, if any of those were a bit preliminary, they're not the final effects. They're kind of some editing that our director put in, but we have like an effects person that's gonna make them even better. Yeah, for now.
We have an awesome effects guy right now.
Yes, who almost won an Oscar. Who was nominated. We worked on Real Steel and Cowboys and Aliens and all this stuff. So.
And Men in Black.
Yeah, that's right. Men in Black 3, 4. The newest one.
Which play?
So yeah, go ahead and play that, and he's gonna do it.
Push the button.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, just pretend you did it, Christine. This is some behind the scenes stuff. Oh, you paused it. Okay, so this is me and Spike Spencer in the desert. The whole sword fighting thing took about 6 hours to shoot. It's probably going to be a 2-minute sequence. A special camera called GoPro. You can fall. And it will survive because it's a GoPro camera. I fell on this camera, I rolled over this camera. We take it to cars. We've got Girl Scout cookies. And then the other clip is a rough cut of me and Vic Mignogna in the car. He plays my brother, except my brother's dead. So it's actually these evil spirits making me relive my brother's car accident.
It's got to be driving kind of fast.
What's going on?
I don't want to be a nag, but you're driving like this. Always
I can't stop.
sure you can just aim for that ditch up there.
There's Valerie's voice in there, Cristina. So that's the end of that little review. So those again are preliminary effects. Those are not the final ones, but just something that our director created. Yeah, next DVD for work. So that's a scene with Vic. I don't even remember what the rest of them. We got some cool stuff done. Alright, Christina likes the music.
Indeed.
So Christine's got a music video she's working on.
Yeah, guys. I do.
And it's like originally animated and
Yeah,
it will be.
It's whatchamacallit, Studio 8PP in Japan, who did Project Eiko and all these other cool projects. I'll tell you later.
This is a scene with Richard and Carter.
So we got everyone down the hill and sent them on their way. Surprisingly, no one wanted a refund. We can be honest something here. A 30-minute experience. We can do 6 to 8 shows a day. Finally start turning a profit.
Ira,
Right, get burned out. Okay, so 4 shows a day, and we hire a second shaman.
And how are we supposed to explain that during every ceremony, 30% of our audience disappears into thin air?
They came back last time. I'm sure they know the way back. Wherever it is they went.
We let them go to an unknown fate.
Or a ticket.
Is that all it is to you?
6 months ago, you and Murphy were living hand to mouth up here, talking to the snakes, and drinking that tea that he brews in the mucky water.
That has nothing to do with poverty. That's just the way Ricky makes his tea.
My point is, we finally
That was funny, by the way.
somebody. 12 is set for life. Let's put a lid on this and move on.
Richard being dramatic.
So good.
Yeah, he really stole the show in a lot of ways. Originally the movie was supposed to be a lot more serious, and this Godric character, this spiritual guru from the Sweat Lodge, we got one more DVD of him, and he just stole the show. He was just so funny in the way that Richard, and we just wouldn't go with it. We were like, wow, this is awesome. Just go ahead, keep doing it.
Yeah, and actually, Avi Malman, the guy in the red shirt, it's because of him that I get to do my music video, because he owns an animation studio, and his animation studio has ties to the studio in Japan. So it's going to be like an authentic anime, original animation piece.
Farmed out to Korea.
No!
You'll see, they're going to do the key animation and the rest will be done in Korean. You get all these Kim Jong-pak in the credits. Well, that's a Korean name.
No comment.
That's how it's done now.
Why don't you tell us about this scene?
This is, I think, our newest trailer.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Really? It's not that old. Or is it? I don't know. Anyway, this is the newest trailer we got. Again, some compilated footage from various. There you go. So that was Now I have to tell you that in terms of the trailer, I know it's not really explanatory of the movie yet because we're cutting the movie now, and we're not cutting it to make a trailer. We're trying to finish the actual feature, and then once we have footage that can be used to our trailer that is more story oriented, then we'll do it. So this is kind of that's why it says kind of a preview right now.
Can I just say how much I hated those jeans?
Didn't you bring them in?
I brought these jeans in, and I brought one pair, and I didn't really try them on before, but they were really tight, and I had to wear them the entire
I don't know how
shoot.
you got them on.
So the entire shoot, I'm like, I have to be careful with craft services because if I kept finishing these jeans, then continuity and the movie would explode.
I don't know. We found ways around things. I mean, for one of the early shoots, we had Richard Epcar in a deerskin diaper. So, but then we decided not to do that because it kept falling off, and that didn't work out so well for him. But yeah, I want to mention that we have some other cool cast besides the voice actors I mentioned. We happened to get, if you saw the Native American looking guy, he is a martial artist. And a very skilled one, can do flips and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Oh, Peter, I was
James.
talking about Murky.
Yeah. No. We have, he wasn't even in the clips, was he? We have what was I saying? We do have it's kind of an inside joke or a silly joke where we have an Indian playing an American Indian in the film. So he's dressed up as an American Indian, but he's really Indian, I don't know how else to say that, Eastern Indian maybe. And, but yeah, he's funny. He's been in some
Native
commercials and stuff, yeah.
Native American Steve.
No, how do I say the other type of Indian besides
Indian.
Indian?
Indian.
Yeah, just Indian, okay. I forgot what I was saying. No, so we had Peter Jang, the Native American guy was spinning around there with the weapons. He's awesome, and I did the fight choreography for the film, so I brought along him, especially for his scenes, and we did some crazy stuff with him, just flips, and we got jumps, and all kinds of stuff, so it's really neat with him. And then, yeah, Avi Melman happened to be in there and to play. I wrote the part for a short, chubby Jewish guy, and then Avi's like, hey, can I be in the film? And I'm like, hey, you're a short, chubby Jewish guy. It's perfect. So yeah, sometimes things just work out.
Yeah, and Avi's working on an anime called Guardians of Luna. I don't know if you guys have heard about that.
Well, look
Now
it
you
up.
have.
Look it up. That's all you were saying. Okay, and who else did I was there? Oh, we got Andy McPhee. You probably saw that in some of the cuts there. An actor from Sons of Anarchy. Interestingly enough, our DP, director of photography, basically the lead cameraman person, Australian guy, and he knew Andy McPhee, who was also Australian, from the TV show Sons of Anarchy, and so he said, hey, you want to be in our film? And I didn't say no. So we brought him out there. So it's kind of cool. We have these other, neat folks in there. What else do we have? Oh, Axel. Playing the evil spirit that's trying to steal Christina's body, who is French, and so that's kind of interesting. She's like a new mom, but she looks fantastic, and little French girl. And what else? We got Peter, and
Our DP was pretty awesome too.
right. Nathan is now. It's weird. Our director of photography, the camera guy, is now a doctor on General Hospital.
He is?
Yeah, he got a 4-year contract. So we'll never see him again, he's off to become famous and everything. But we had a really neat cast, and some of my crew's actually here in the front row. We have a couple of people, they're not even listening right now. Alexa was one of the assistant directors, and then Cristina did everything. She was first a production assistant, and then we made her scripty, and I don't know, she did everything. She got us food. She kept going off site to go to the convenience store and get us food, and that was really good. So we needed food in the desert. And then Nicole came in and was a PA, and
No, she wasn't.
didn't you come in? Oh, you're an extra. That's right. Yeah, she's in it. Were you in any of the clips we showed today? Did you see them? Oh yeah, I thought you might have been the one with Kyle.
I was like shorter than Kyle, so it was like Kyle and me.
Oh, okay, yeah. So yeah, we threw Kyle. Kyle's not really in it so much. I gave him one line. I wanted to give him a cameo, and he did not want to come out to the desert. He's like, I'm a big bald man. I don't want to go out to the desert. And Kyle, come on, it's my movie. You gotta do this. And so I finally talked him in. I mentioned Kyle, and everyone leaves. Okay, well, I'll make sure I won't do that in the future. So we had some fun. But were you gonna say something?
Do you want to take questions?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do now.
We
What
have
time is it?
questions. We have plenty of time. We're at 12:30.
Okay. Come on, question. I made a movie. You gotta have some questions about this, right? I don't care. Yes.
Is it theatrical or is it DVD?
Ooh, that's a good question. We actually don't know because we are in the process of, and I'm learning all this about this process of meeting with distributors. So he was asking, basically, is it going to go straight to DVD or is it going to be in the theaters? Ideally, what would happen is there's no way this is going to be like a massive theatrical release because it just doesn't happen unless it's Brad Pitt or something. So, but what is going to happen is either we're going to get a company that's going to do a limited theatrical, and that means maybe 10 theaters, 15 theaters across the country. But almost certainly one of them will be in Los Angeles because, hey, it's Hollywood, right? So there's a very, very good chance it'll be in a theater in LA. And of course, we also hope to show it at this year's Anime Expo, where they can show it on a big screen and I think 2,000 people can come. But if not, yeah, DVD, we're also going to do internet. So it'll be out on the internet and where else? It's going to be international too. We're looking to sell internationally, so people will be seeing this in Latin America and Europe and all kinds of stuff like that too.
You should probably find Trauma as like your distributor.
No, Trauma actually, we don't fit Trauma because we're not bad enough. Our film is not cheesy and bloody and crazy enough to fit Trauma's model, so they probably wouldn't want it. Yeah, strangely enough, Trauma has a reputation of really bad hack and slash blood movies, and so we're not bad enough. Trauma.
Seems good.
Well, I mean, it's good in a bad way. You know what I'm saying? That's just their reputation for that. Any other questions?
Yes.
So I'm curious, I have this MVP.
Oh,
Not
okay.
now,
Well, I get to answer this a lot. Let's see what Cristina has to say about this. What do you know about how it came to be?
One day I was in school and then Steve called. He's like, "Hey, I had this movie. You want vegans?" And I was like,
I talk just like that.
and then time passed, and then I was in the desert, and then I had lines, and I was like, "I'm Valerie." And that's how Broken Spirits came to be.
Actually, Cristina she did a lot of research for her part because her character had a difficult background and stuff like that. And we really played up, when I wrote this, I played up on the psychological aspect of it because we didn't know what budget we had. So I made a lot of the terror and thriller part psychological rather than physical. So I really put the characters through a lot of mental trauma. And Cristina did a lot of background research on that, just kind of as a person, kind of looking at the perspective of going through mental trauma and dealing with it and all that kind of stuff. This is the how it came to be from my point of view. Basically, is I've been in LA 4 years, and the short story is I've been through lots of adversity, physical, financial, relational. Very difficult, and my acting career was nowhere near where I wanted it to be. And I thought I might be leaving. I thought I might, go back to Idaho or however they always say it, right? And so I'm like, before I leave, I'm gonna do a movie. So, I started working on this movie, and I had the location in the desert already. My roommate was a screenwriting graduate, so I said, "Hey, can you write it with me?" So we worked together, and I wrote it as cheap as I could in terms of, when you write, you have to consider, if I have a car crash, how much will this cost? So we really did try to make it as cheap as possible too. And later we ended up with more money than I ever thought we'd have, and we also got more special effects people than I ever thought. So it really ended up a lot better than I ever could imagine. But I said, I'm going to make this movie, at least I'll have one thing. At least I'll come out here in LA and act it in something without more than 5 lines. Because I've done plenty of little tiny things, but I wanted to say, hey, look, I can act, so screw you, LA. And so I did, and we made this movie, and it did come together. We got, I got more people. I was so happy that so many voice actors said they would do it. And I asked more, also that were unavailable or just weren't interested. But it was great that I got all these people, because now it has a hook that people will actually want to see it, because they're like, oh, I want to see Cristina on the screen, I want to see Vic, I want to see Richard, I want to see Kyle's cameo. We got really good crew, we got really good producers, we got a great, all the stuff, and we ended up shooting on the Red, which is like a high definition camera they use for a lot of films today. One I remember all the time is the Facebook movie, The Social Network. They shot that on the Red. So it's going to look like a theater quality movie. It's HD, digital, and all that stuff. So yeah, so I'm hoping for the best. It should turn out really, really well.
Yeah.
Yes.
For voice acting, for both of you, how did you guys get started?
Oh, no voice acting. We had a voice acting panel in here just an hour ago, and we answered that very question.
I got started, I started doing it at home, because I really wanted to be voice acting. I didn't know how to go into it. My family's not,
In your bedroom.
In my bedroom.
Voices.
Voices in my bedroom. But actually, I got lucky because I was doing that for about 4 years for myself. And then I went to Anime Expo, and they had a voice acting panel, and they let me try out the equipment. And they really liked that I got it in one take, and I had like the high-pitched little girl voice. So they let me audition for Fu in Samurai Champloo. And I was like, wow, this is so cool. And I didn't get it, of course, Carter Waldman did. But they let me start doing it, and by doing that, I started doing like Walla parts and incidental characters, and I started meeting other people in the industry and working for different companies, and I got an agent. And then I met the people who did Skullgirls, and they wanted me to direct for that. So it's been a long process, definitely. It wasn't overnight. It's been half my life, basically. Well, literally half my life I've been working at this.
Yeah, and basically, what she's talking about is in a way similar to me. Is I got some people brought me in for some stuff, and they liked me, but for whatever reason, they didn't fall in love with me like they did with Cristina V. So they, instead of continuing to call me back or whatever, they just stopped calling me. But, that happens.
No, it happens to me too sometimes, It's not anything personal, it's just that sometimes you're not in their mind, so they don't cast you, so that's when it's like, hey, I'm alive.
Yeah, it's tough. It's a fine line between harassing them.
Oh yeah, definitely do not harass
and reminding them you
people,
exist.
but there is professional etiquette how to go about it, and they
Really?
kind of,
I mean, you can read the book on that.
and they are expecting it too, because there are a lot of actors, and sometimes you just need a little reminder, like, oh, this person's still around. Okay, well, keep them in mind for the next time this kind of role comes up.
All right, I'll talk about the movie. Questions about the movie?
Thank you.
Yes. I mean, come on, I made a movie from beginning to end. You gotta have some questions, yes.
So you said that you're the fight choreographer, so like, what was your duties like?
Oh, fight choreographer. Yeah, well, basically, I'm a trained swordsman, and so I kind of took that, and I've done a little bit of martial arts, but I understand how to take falls and things like that. What actually was kind of the director's fault that I ended up doing this, because at first I wrote it to be very, very safe, because I didn't know we were going to have stunts, and we actually had somebody come in with pads and everything that we could fall on, and so I could do the stuff, which originally I was like, I'm not going to endanger my actors at all, because we didn't have stunt people. You know, we did our own stunts, right? Like that T-shirt, I do my own stunts. So, and I wasn't going to put everybody through that. But the director really, I mean, he made it better. He did. He put us through hell to get there. But he's like, okay, all the main characters have to have physical fights now with the spirits. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, good thing I know how to do that. So, I basically. Those were the three main ones that I choreographed. There's 3 spirits and 3 characters, basically, without giving too much away. And so each of them had to do fight choreography. And so I brought, actually, Alexa was my stand-in when I made up the choreography. And then, so we'd rehearse it. I'd be like, okay, we're gonna do this and this. And then, you know, then I'd get with the actors and say, okay, here's your choreography. And then we just run it over and over as many times as we could, basically. The big one, well, there was 2 big ones. We did the one with Peter Jang. I mentioned he was a martial artist. And so Peter Jang was awesome. I mean, I did this thing with where he fought his good guy, and it was really, really good because he's, you know, like I said, doing flips. And I actually did research, because he's a Native American, I did research on tomahawk fighting. And one thing about, I'm gonna stand up for a minute. One thing about your tomahawk fighting that I didn't know is what they do, because it's short and L-shaped. What they would do with it is grab a lot. They would grab your leg and pull it out from under you, and grab your arm and jerk it off, and grip underneath your neck and pull and things like that. So, I was like, great. So we went and we did this choreography where the guy's tomahawking the crap out of him. You know? And the good guy's basically like this former gang member street fighter. So he's just like, you know, slugging it out with this tomahawk guy, and that was really fun. But the problem I put myself into is that fight scene was so awesome that I then had to top it, because my character's the main character, and I had to fight the main bad guy, and we already had this awesome scene. So then I had to go. It was really fun though, because, you know, Spike Spencer also has some sword fighting experience. So we went to his apartment in Koreatown, and he lives on the top floor. So we just went onto the roof. And so we're on this roof in Koreatown with these swords, just sword fighting for hours, you know, preparing for this scene. But it ended up really good because at the last minute, we had to change locations in the desert. And there was a big sand dune. I mean, it was like 30 feet high. And behind the sand dune is mountain. So we had this awesome scene. You know where you saw us sword fighting there. That's after I get like knocked down the sand dune or whatever. But before that, we had this great wide shot. And this is, you know, widescreen since it's for film. Of just me and him on top of this sand dune, like back and forth sword fighting with the mountains in behind him, and it's gonna look awesome. So fortunately, I think that we were able to outdo the other fighting scene. And, you know, we did Christina's first, so, and it was really fun because I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna do different weapons for each one. So the girls had knives, so we did a knife fight. And the evil spirit had this old knife, and she had like this, it was like the Rambo knife, the survival knife.
Yeah, sticky and stuff.
Type thing. So, can you tell them about the choreography you did with you guys?
So I get there and they're like, oh, we're gonna fight. And I met Excel like maybe a couple days before.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I met Alexa too, because we're doing fight choreography in a park somewhere in Glendale.
Okay.
First, I thought Excel looked like we could be sisters, because we did look pretty similar, especially from behind. I actually stood in for her.
That's right, yeah.
And So we did a fight scene and we choreographed them. This is gonna be fun and easy. And then we get to a location. And first, it was in the sand, so it's really hard to run on and stuff. Second, there happened to be a little stream river that formed. So they're like, hey guys, change of plans. You're gonna fight, and then you're gonna go in the river and fight. And I'm like, okay. So we had this really cool fight scene where we ended up in the water. And it was really fun, actually, and refreshing.
we lied to the two, I didn't, but the director's like, okay, we're gonna do the water at the end, and you're only gonna have to go in there once. So, and you know, this is the desert. It's kind of hot, but the water coming down from the mountains is pretty cold.
It's water that was ice from the mountains.
Right?
Yeah.
So they just plunged in. I mean, it was excellent. We told the actors we wanted to do this, and they were like, okay. If it was me, I'd have been like, what? But they're like, okay. So we get the girls all wet, throw them in the, I mean, how good is that? So really, all three of the fight scenes ended up much better than I thought they were going to be, because we had the added, you know, the water fight with the girls, and then the awesome tomahawk stuff with the American Indian guy, and then just the sword fight we had to go all out for. So I think it really ended up well.
Yeah.
Yay. Other questions about the movie?
The movie.
Okay.
Were there any inspirations, like that, personal inspirations for wanting to tell the story, like wanting to write it?
Well, okay. Yeah, that's a question for you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but I don't want to just have to sit there and play with your phone the whole time. Sort of, yeah. I mean, because I thought it might be my only shot to do a screenplay and tell my own movie story. I mean, I really was limited by the budget and the location. You know, because me and Joseph, the other original author, would bounce ideas off. Yeah, this is great. Oh, we can't do that. I mean, that happened dozens of times because we didn't have money or whatever to do these cool things we wanted. So we were really limited, but one of the things I really wanted to do is add, and it is spirit, so it is spiritual, but I wanted to add a spiritual element to it, and get people thinking about what happens when you die, and good and evil, and things like that, and it's definitely not overt, and I don't want it to be overt, but personally I'm a Christian, and I wanted to at least put some kind of good values in the film, and so I deliberately avoided dropping the F-bomb and things like that, and I wanted to keep it for a younger audience a little bit, but yeah, just put some meaning in it too. Get people thinking about, well, what happens when I die? Do I have a spirit? What's up with the spirit? So yeah, I really did try to put a little bit of that in there just to get people thinking about it. Yeah.
A next question. Yes.
Oh, this isn't about the movie, but Cristina, what's Little Karibo like in person?
Little Karibo? He is very...
British.
He's very British. Yes, Little Karibo is British, Martin.
Who is this?
He's the Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged guy.
Oh, I met him.
Yes. Actually, he
that's not his real name, is it?
He married one of my friends, Mariana.
Yeah, I know him by his real name. What's his real name?
Martin.
Yeah.
Martin Billany. Yeah, so it's just a weird degree of separation that I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge in college, and my friend Mariana were voice actors, and and then all of a sudden she's like, hey, I'm dating him. I'm like, okay, he's British. And then
He's 4,000 miles away.
Next thing I know, we're in Vegas, and she's getting married to Little Karibo, and he's a very, very nice guy. Surprisingly, he's so funny, but he's really quiet. He's quiet, but everything he says comes out, and it's like, he's so funny.
I thought he'd be like Yami Yugi 24/7.
No, he's a really sweet guy. And not only that, but if you follow him on Twitter, you can see that he's been around the block a few times, and he knows what's going on, and he's still a very, very good guy.
So someone asked where I am right now. I'm going to tell them my panel for my movie. You could read the program.
Do you have any other questions?
I mean, I made a movie from you.
I'll handle this one.
I know you want to. Okay.
You can do that. Any questions for me, Steve Racer?
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Apparently not.
I mean, I can tell you all this kind of stuff about making a movie and what it was like. Well, I don't know. Let's tell stories, I guess, from behind the scenes type thing. What was your favorite thing that we did on set? And it could be something
It was, you know, when I was driving up here, I was kind of reminiscing because I was playing Lady Gaga, and that was my soundtrack for the movie because I would listen to that every single day on the drive up. And I was playing Lady Gaga, and I was like, oh, Broken Spirits. I used to drive out to the desert. Oh, one time, like, there was this little motel. Oh, I can't tell that story.
I'm glad you realized it
Let's
now.
just say, there was a motel in that area that we all stayed overnight, and one time I was walking by, and the doors, I guess the walls are very thin, because I was hearing things I did not want to be hearing. I was like, oh my god!
And there was, I smelled a lot of weed in that hotel.
It was a very shady hotel.
It's not like there's a lot of hotels in Palmdale either, you know? I mean, there's not a whole lot out there.
We have 5 minutes left, guys, so any of those pressing, burning questions.
Oh, he's got another question.
So you said that this is like your last Shire show that you had.
Right.
Depending on the success on that, are you going to stay here or are you planning to go back to Poland?
I have no idea. I'm from North Carolina, by the way. I just always say Idaho because it sounds more dramatic.
North Carolina is awesome.
I do like North Carolina. I'll ask you a question in a second once I finish this. I don't know, honestly, because personally, I am fed up to here with the entertainment industry. And the more I work with it, and honestly, a lot of it has been because so many people have lied to me and let me down out here that I just don't want to do it anymore, you know? And the same kind of, even in the voice acting industry where I've known directors and other actors that are like, hey, I'm going to put you in this, or I'm going to cast you for this, and then they forget and never talk to me, and I don't get it. And I'm like, wow, I didn't get an audition, you know? It's so just heartless out here. And I mean, you know, most of it's not personal, but then again, you think, wow, at least that person could remember me, you know, but they don't. And plus, you know, I've had people who have lied to me about they want to invest in my movies. I've wasted months on people who are like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And I'm okay. And I'll write a screenplay for them. And they'll be like, we're going to make this movie. And then they disappear. Or I find out they're totally full of crap. I have wasted so much time out here, you know. And the other way, you know, that you can waste a lot of time is going to a lot of auditions, because I've gone to a lot of auditions, and not so much for voice acting, because those are really hard to get, even just a freaking audition. But the auditions for film and things like that, there's so much stuff out there that's just total crap. And you know, they make it sound really good, and then you get on set, and it's a really shady production, and there's no money, and you realize you don't even want to be in this, but you spent, you know, over an hour in traffic driving to this audition. And then you're like, this is a waste of my time. And it's so much, so I've spent hours and hours of my time working for no money, and some of it's been completely wasted toward no goal either. And the industry's just awful. So, fortunately, there are a couple of good people that I've continued to work with out here, and there's a chance that one of these projects still that I've started years ago might take off. But I'm not waiting around forever. I'm done waiting. I've been out here 5 years. I'm not getting any younger. You know, I want to do something. If this isn't going to be what I do with my life is not going to be sitting around waiting for someone to call. You know, in fact, I know a lot of actors, and it's not just, you know, people like me. I know a lot of actors who were in big sci-fi TV series and movies and stuff, and then people just stop calling. And I see them because I network. Because one thing I'm good at is networking. I get to be guests at these kind of conventions. Not because I really have done a whole lot of stuff, because I network. I'm like, hey, you want me? And I sell it, you know? And I've been to these sci-fi, and I see all these sci-fi actors that were even in Star Trek and stuff like that, and they're not doing anything but going to these conventions and signing autographs and stuff like that. And that's their life, and they're just waiting and hoping. One of you even told me this. You know, they're pulling their hair out, begging and hoping their agent's going to call with an audition for something. You know, and I don't want that to be my future. I don't want that to be my life. So, fortunately, I have a career that I was in before I was in computers, and I can go back to being in IT, so, and actually make money. Because I'm also tired of starving to death. Because one of the things you have to do, as Cristina V will tell you, is you can't work a full-time job, because you have to be available for auditions and going to the acting gigs and stuff like that. So, I mean, you could be maybe a waiter and stuff, which some people do, but all the good waiting jobs are taken. It's hard to get a waiting job. But I don't know what's going to happen. I'm hanging around until we finish Broken Spirits, because I'm following this through. After that, I don't know. But yeah, thanks for your question. Yeah, and somebody over here had a question. Did he leave?
He left, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, we are pretty much done.
Well, I want to wrap it up on a more positive note than that, but it's kind of a downer. But I'll say something like Cristina. Overall, my experience in the movie was the most difficult thing I'd ever done. Between writing it, in terms of producing, I had to deal with budget issues, props, cast, crew, contracts, unions, SAG, location issues, renting the porta potty. Everything, And people, and whenever there was a problem on set, they knew it was my movie, so everyone came to me. And they were like, "Hey Steve, this is wrong. Hey Steve, this is a problem." Like the actors would be like, "I've been here 3 hours and they haven't used me yet." I'm like, "Well, have you been in a film before? This is how it goes." So it was really the most difficult thing I've ever done. In fact, it's funny because now other things that used to seem difficult seem easy. Like moving. I'm like, oh, moving, that's easy compared to making a movie. I can move 3 times. But some of the experiences I had were great. It's sad because I hardly ever get to see Cristina V, who was awesome. But so it was kind of an excuse to hang out with her a lot, since we were the 2 main characters. And I made some good friendships on there because it's a real bonding experience, like doing anything else intense like that. And I learned so much. I learned a lot. It was really, really difficult, and I felt like I was sweating blood some days. But I'm very happy I've done it, and even though I sold my car and all that good stuff. But part of it is I want to say here fans, anime fans, there's something you haven't seen before. Here's a live-action film with your voice actors that you like in live-action roles, where you can see them acting instead of just hearing your voice. So at least I've done something that pretty much no one's ever done before. Yeah, so there you go. Cristina, what are your overall experience, thoughts from the film?
It's something that I am really happy, proud of, that I was able to be a part of it. I never thought I'd be able to do something like that. Because like I said, I've always been so tunnel vision, but this really kind of opened up that there is more out there than just doing voiceover. And so I'm definitely going to, I'm going to continue with it, and I can't wait to see the final product. And I'm really happy to be a part of it, and I think that there is some really great work in this movie. Just watching it, being on set and with these actors, it was really inspiring.
My question.
I'm sorry, we're out of time. So that was our wrap up right there. So, but I want to thank you guys all for coming. And look for the movie. The website is brokenspiritsmovie.com. So you can follow, there's some more clips there, and of course we'll put announcements there. We're going to definitely be in some capacity at Anime Expo, so if you go to that, you'll see it.
If you're going to be in LA tonight, come watch me do improv.
And she's going to drive up to LA
Which I have to go right now.
back
So
to
it's good to see
here.
you guys. See you tomorrow.
All right, thanks.